Greetings, devoted Simpsons fans. We're going to dive into the world of Springfield's most famous geek or comic book nerd, a man simply known as the comic book guy. But what's his real name? Jeffrey Albertson? I didn't know that until just recently. Many fans know him only by the comic book guy, and of course some of his unique and signature catchphrases like worst episode ever, which is my favorite. All right, so he owns the Android's Dungeon and Baseball card shop, and he's got a sort of terminal and permanent look of sarcasm as he lords over his domain, commenting on the failures of the rest of the mainstream world behind his big stack of back issues. He's cynical, mostly arrogant, but a true figure, a central figure, right, in the Simpsons universe. Comic Book Guy is a living, breathing commentary on obsessed and obsessive fans. So let's go over our questions. Do you like him as a character? Now, does Comic Book Guy CBG to his friends actually work as a character? For many, the answer is pretty complicated, but sure, why not? He's intentionally written to be annoying. He does that very well. A caricature of the worst aspects of fans, right? Obsessed fans. You and I mean, I'm a comic book guy. I gotta say it. I'm jumping the gun here, but I am. All right. He's judgmental. He uses complicated, overly specific language to belittle others. Well, I don't use that really, but... And his default mode is to declare something, of course, worst episode ever. Or here's another good one. Least satisfying piece of merchandise ever. And remember the one when he got the worst t-shirt. So it was worst t-shirt ever that he actually wore. But of course, CBG Comic Guy's function in the show is pretty critical, right? It's the ultimate comedic straw man. He recognizes the satire in him, his commitments to his obsessions. However, extreme is pretty admirable, right? It's pretty likable because we all have these maybe fan extremes. We don't have to like him as a person, but we can certainly appreciate him as the brilliantly crafted source of humor, the ultimate hero or anti-hero of geek culture. So now, the second question, do you know him? Do you know him like real life? Okay. Hey, we all do, don't? Most people who own comic book shops or who love comics are deeply into comic books, are great people. They are. But this character, comic book guy, it's not about them. He represents a pretty vocal, pretty small, I guess, segment of fans who believe their superior knowledge grants them the right to police the enjoyment of others. In other words, they know better, right? Do you know people like that? I certainly do. I'll tell you, sometimes on my channel, I get some people like that, and they don't even piss me off. They just make me laugh. Laughter. All right. So we always, right, see traits of comic book guy online in the comment sections, the forums, and especially on social media like YouTube. They are the people who insist that unless you can name the 12th villain in an issue of obscure series, you aren't a real fan. The show captures this gatekeeping mentality decades ago, right, on The Simpsons. It's only become more, important in our digital age. Comic Book Guy is a timeless cultural character. He's the know-it-all whose passion curdles into condensation. He's kind of like Cliff, right? Remember Cliff from Cheers, the know-it-all, right? And finally, are you like him? Like I said before, yeah, I consider myself maybe half a comic book guy. I'm certainly not that fat. I mean, I could stand to lose a few, but I'm not that big. But in terms of my fanish, yeah. I mean, that's what, got me to get into it all and to write for Star Trek because I loved science fiction, comic books, Star Trek, Star Wars. So that was a help to me in my life. So now, but what about you? Look into the mirror. Do you have a comic book guy in you? Again, I'm not talking about how big you are if you own a shop, but do you have the spirit of Jeffrey Albertson? Have you ever been around friends and you corrected them? Oh, that wasn't that episode of that movie. And Do you feel superior when, you know more, your likes are better than your friends? Give us your thoughts. Give us your feedback. I just think, look, for me, Comic Guy is just one of the best things about The Simpsons. I think they should spin them off. Maybe it's too late. Or I heard a new Simpsons movie is in development, or it's maybe in another year or two. So they're finally doing another Simpsons movie. Honestly, though, I haven't watched Simpsons regularly in the longest time. When I last tried to watch it, it was like, oh, this kind of jumped the shark. And then I saw one was, the Treehouse of Horrors are always kind of fun. But what do you think? The Simpsons has many great characters. For me, the comic book guy is one of the very best. I love him. What do you think? Give us your thoughts. Give us your feedback. Hope you're enjoying. Hope you're subscribing. See you soon.